So we're going to look at another model for multiplying fractions. So the first model was using language or of to do that. This one we're going to look at using an area model. So when we do multiplication, our main model for multiplication is area. Length times width equals area. So the answer to multiplication is area. So we're going to use the area model to help us understand fraction multiplication. So first we're going to start off with this 1 by 1 square. Okay, and we're going to imagine this is a number line. Okay, so here's 0, there's 1 along the horizontal, and here's 0 and there's 1 along the vertical. And 1 by 1 square is going to give us an area of 1. Now it's really important that you understand that this 1 by 1 square now represents our 1 whole. Okay, this represents our whole. So if I were to shade half of this, okay, that represents 1/2 of our whole. Okay, so this is going to be how we're going to determine the answer to our fraction multiplication. So what does this fraction multiplication then look like? Okay, well, what does 1/2 times 1/4 look like? So what we're going to do is we're going to express 1/2 along the horizontal. So 1/2 ends up right here. Okay, so this line represents the 1/2 line. So I'm going to take this length of 1/2 and I'm going to times it by 1/4. So if I go along the vertical, so that's my length. So I need to find my width along the vertical. Okay, so 1/4, these are 4 equal pieces. So my 1/4 is going to be that line there. So again, it's really important to understand that we're actually using the length here as 1/4 and the length here as 1/2. So the area, my answer to this fraction multiplication must be this area in here. Okay, so that area must be the answer to multiplication. Length. Okay, so there's my length this way, length 1/2, my width 1/4 is going to give me an area of that little blue square. Now, what fraction of the whole is that? Well, we know that the big square represents 1 whole, so I'm just going to highlight that. So this is 1 whole. So that blue square represents what fraction of the whole? Well, it is clearly 1 out of 8 pieces. Okay, so the answer must be 1/8. So how many rectangles make up the whole? Well, there's definitely 8 rectangles that make up the wholes. There's only one rectangle that makes up, this little one here, makes up the part that I want, the shaded part, which is the area that I want, which is the actual length and width that I want. And from this diagram, it's clear that the answer has to be 1 out of 8. Okay, and the picture does not lie. 1/4 times 1/2 gives me 1 fraction out of 8 fractions whole. Now, if I just go back, that was my answer here as well when I used language. Okay, so 1/2 of a 1/4 fraction, yeah, that was 1 out of 8. So we have both methods confirming that this is in fact true. Okay, and we should be fairly confident with the area model because the area model we use a lot in math to confirm our multiplication fact.